Good morning. What is going on? Lawson here. So, yesterday I came out and I did not catch anything, really, but I did see a lot of tarpon and some decent sized ones. I mean mid-rangers, 20 to 40 pounders. So, that is what we're starting off with this morning. It's very beautiful. It's a little on the cold side, about 70 degrees, but we should be able to get in some fish hopefully today. We're going to start off throwing for some tarpon and see what we can do. Oh, come on. Come on. Big fish. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Oh, come on. Gosh. Ooh, something swirled on it. Ooh, I just got whacked, dude. Come back for it, come back for it. Right when that landed, the fish swirled. I'm gonna throw it right back up there. Gosh, I just got hammered. Damn it, dude. I don't think he'll come back for it. Ooh, I just got whacked. There we go. It's not a huge one. Whew, that was quick. That was only my second cast. Put spot lock on. Alright, I feel like it's been a minute since I've caught one of these beautiful little guys right here, probably only 25, 26 inches. That was one of my second casts, so it feels good to finally catch a fish. I've been grinding for a long time. There he is. Ooh, God, right there. Something's bit it straight in half. Alright, caught one on the swim bait. We're going to switch over, grab the terrorize for a second here, and bounce that around, and then we're going to move. Little one. There we go. One on the terrorize. This is a big old fat snook, I think. Gosh, the big tarpon snook. Second fish right there, just a little tarpon snook. Actually, probably one of the bigger tarpon snook I've ever caught, but cool little guy right there. You can see how upturned his jaw is, how huge his eyes are. That's the easiest way to tell the difference between a common snook and a tarpon right there. There he goes. Alright, we're about to switch over to the next spot, but real quickly, I want to take a second to talk to you guys about bridge fishing, kind of give you some tips and what mindset I use when I go into it. Today I fished for 4 hours until I caught my first fish, and literally I pulled up to a bridge, and my second cast on the first bridge I hit produced a snook. Bridge fishing is one of those things where it can be on or it's just off. And you can work them really hard, and you kind of got to go through and figure out what to use on them. But I'll tell you like my 3 lure categories I like to use. One is a jig or something on the bottom. You know, you want to have something you can fish the bottom with. So today that happens to be a terrorized, but that might be a jig or a flare hawk or slow roll and a swim bait or anything that you can fish comfortably along the bottom. Alright, number 2 would be a swim bait, what I caught my first fish on of the day. Something that could be, maybe it's a swim bait on a jig head, maybe it's a pre-rigged swim bait, anything that you can fish variable depths with. That's going to be your variable lure, where you might fish it all the way down the bottom, or you might reel it really fast across the top, but typically it's going to be in that mid-range, and that's where you're going to get a lot of bites. It's just brushing it right along the edges of columns and keeping it about 2 feet below the water, or depending on how deep the bridge is, and just running it right along the columns of bridges, and you'll catch a lot of fish doing that. And so your swim bait is awesome because it's very variable. You can fish it on the bottom and slow roll. You can fish it on the top when it gets later. If they're eating on top, you can fish it anywhere. And then number 3 would be something of a twitch bait or a jerk bait. Something that's going to be really erratic and draw strikes. And this is really great because what you do with this is you throw it up right along the pilings and you twitch it and you let it just sit. And you let it sit just right in the gaps between the pilings. And you twitch it again and pull it to the next gap of pilings. And that leaves a really good gap for those big snook and tarpon or whatever you're fishing for to come through that bridge piling gaps and just nail your bait. So what I like to do when I'm fishing bridges, normally I'll have 3 rods rigged up and one with each type of bait. So I might have a bass jig on one rod, a swim bait on the other, and then a twitch bait on the 3rd rod. If you don't have 3 rods, it's really not a big deal. Just cut them off. And so when you're going through the bridge, each time I like to use one lure and I do a whole entire pass on the bridge. One side there, one side back with that one lure, and then cut it off, or you pick up the next rod and you move on to the next lure. But you're going to cover a lot of ground, you're using different presentations, and you can catch a ton of fish fishing bridges that way. Final tip for fishing bridges: current, current, current. There has to be current moving or you normally just won't catch any fish. That's really all there is to it. I mean, put in your work and see what works in your area, but those 3 different types of baits pretty much work well, and they work for most species from snook, tarpon, reds, bass, whatever you're fishing for. It's probably going to work if you're fishing a bridge with some current. And obviously, colors and different things vary where you are, but that is my my bridge tips for you guys. There's fish. Ooh, get out of the pilings, dog. Started off feeling real big. Ooh, freaking Cubera snapper. Awesome. He hit so hard. It's just so typical of a snapper. They hit insanely hard. And I was like getting worried, and then he kind of lightened up. Hey. Alright, there we go right there. Cubera snapper, probably about 15 inches or so. They are just such beautiful fish. I love catching these things. They're so badass, honestly. It's actually a little Cubera. It's okay. So right there, some old man yelling at me. Little Cubera right there is very beautiful. Their colors are awesome, spotted like that. Beautiful fins, very cool. Ooh, I just got. There we go. Figured something out here. This is a snook, I believe, right? Yeah, it's a little snook. Hey, buddy. Getting some acrobatics for us. Alright. Finally got into some fish today. Took me about 6 hours, but here they are. It's just a monster fat snook. Oh my gosh. That's funny, man. Alright, look at this lard of a fat snook right there. He is just so freaking chunky. I mean, you can see how wide across he is and how tall of a fish he is. And the difference between a fat snook and common snook, they're just they look like bass almost with a stripe, a silver bass with a stripe. Their body looks very similar to a bass. They have a much stockier head, much stockier everything, really. That's why they call it a fat snook. But finally got into some fish today. Nothing huge, but having a blast. What a beautiful fish right there. It might be one of my biggest fat snook I've ever caught.